And welcome on in, Wager Weekly, Week 5 in the NFL. Let's go to your Sunday card. Let's go on the early card, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Jacksonville and Buffalo across the pond in England, 451, 452. Bills have won 3 straight in impressive fashion, defeating the Raiders, Commanders, Dolphins by a combined 90 points since that opening week overtime loss to the Jets on Monday night. Paul Nolan, what do you see here in this one?
Well, you guys know on the pod, and the people who are following us, which we appreciate. We pounded Jacksonville last week. We had it. It was our first game of the week. The first thing I bet. It was a 3-0 week for us here, which ends up putting me now for the season 11-7. Started out 8-7. 3-0 is a big help. Just trying to keep everything transparent here for everybody. But I hate to admit this. I thought it was a pretty interesting bit of gamesmanship that Jacksonville goes to London, and they stay at their hotel. And now that Buffalo's considered the home team, they booked the same hotel that they were in. So it forces Jacksonville to leave. So they have a nice distraction during the week, so they don't get the same comfort level. I thought it was just an interesting little bit of gamesmanship there. But I can't help but think that, sometimes the public wins. And I've been a little bit of a contrarian, but sometimes I'm happy to go with the public. And I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo just rolls here. We see in this team rolling right now. I think we're getting a value on it. I thought this line should have been much higher. I had 6.5, and then I had 7.5, and I was thinking, man, this could be more of a distraction for the Jaguars, who are absolute celebrities in London. They're bouncing around. They're on vacation. The families are not there for the most part. And, they come off that easy victory. There's a good chance they're going to start feeling pretty good about themselves. The NFL's really weird, man. Guys, kids at heart, they're still in their 20s, and they get pumped up. They feel good about themselves, and there's a little bit of a letdown. And I think this Buffalo team's going to go over across the pond and be completely focused, get the job done here, because they come back to a primetime game on Sunday night against a Giant team that we know is just as bad as it gets. And, as you said, this team just continues to roll. With the Jaguars, while they have been somewhat unlucky, I could see the kind of situation we saw in Kansas City. The one thing about the Jags is that, the run game just really isn't there. And the one thing Buffalo doesn't do well is stop the run for the most part. So, again, this is a Buffalo team that can get all kinds of pressure without blitzing, and they did show a lot of blitz last week, like a lot of disguised blitz. It was a great job by McDermott. We talked about his coaching ability against Tua, and I think he's going to have a similar thing here. The other last thing I want to know is, this is a Buffalo team. We talked about Dallas. When they're rolling, they could be bullies. Buffalo, when they start rolling, they're bullies as well. And I believe it's like 38 and whatever it is, it's an astronomical 70% trend that when Buffalo wins, they win by more than 7. I should say Josh Allen. So I can see them getting on a roll, and I can see the Jaguars kind of being content with a split over on vacation, if you will.
Do you worry at all about Buffalo being banged up a little bit at safety, down cornerback Tre'Davious White, obviously with the season ender last week against Miami? Any worries about Trevor Lawrence maybe taking advantage there?
A little bit, yeah. That's why I think that one of the reasons I love Tre'Davious White. He gives that ability to allow the defense to do what it needs to do when it does blitz. But this team does get its pressure without, and they're getting healthier on the defensive line. So I think Rousseau is going to have a big game, and I like what they're getting from the interior there. So yes, it is a concern. No, there's no free money in the NFL betting markets, but I do think that Tre'Davious White, they'll rally around them this week, and I think the following week we might get a chance to get an over with an absolutely embarrassed Giant team after they get obliterated this week in Miami. I set that line at 13.5. How it opened at 9. I bet Miami -9, which we'll talk about in the next segment tomorrow. But that line is 12.5 now, a little bit out of touch. But I think Buffalo is going to be fully focused, knowing that they kind of have a little bit of a cakewalk the following week in Sunday night primetime.
Trevor Lawrence only averaging 1 touchdown pass a game. He may have to do better than that, like Paul Nolan says, to stay in this one. 451, 452, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the East Coast if you want to watch it. Jacksonville in Buffalo in London. A week 5 in the NFL right here at WagerWeekly.com.